council banker Thras lifted a jeweled goblet beneath the vault's immense arched ceilings, alone with his private victory.
To the proper order restored, the humans finally understand their irrelevance.
The holographic currency displays surrounding him flickered once, then flooded with red emergency warnings.
Impossible. The soul-backed instruments are over-collateralized. They can't fail.
Alarm klaxons ripped through the gold and emerald silence, echoing off the ornate pillars, the trinity of currencies. Drakon, Velis, and Corel plunged downward in a cascade that deleted centuries of stability.
Override. Cancel all automatic sell-offs.
His bioluminescent freckles flared with panic as both hands reached for the holograms, trying to grab the falling numbers. The celebration goblet slipped from his fingers, shattering on the polished floor, the red wine pooling like a spreading wound.
The derecognition vote, 4 hours ago. It cannot be connected. It simply cannot.
4 hours earlier, the council chamber had rung with the ceremonial strike of a gavel.
Resolution 1129 is passed. The species known as human is hereby derecognized from this council, effective immediately.
And not a single dissenting voice. Even the fence-sitters understood the necessity.
Thras had applauded with the rest, his rings catching the chamber light as he exchanged approving nods with the delegates beside him. Now, in the vault, that applause echoed as a death knell.
The timing is too precise. The vote, then this. It has to be connected.
He activated his direct line to the speaker, the holographic interface shimmering into existence among the panic.
Thras, this had better be about the celebration. I have the victory address to finalize.
Speaker, the currency board just broke. All 3 primary denominations, Drakon, Velis, Corel, are in freefall.
Freefall? Explain the cause. Did the humans file an injunction?
There is no direct cause, just a correlated timestamp. The collapse began exactly 4 hours after the derecognition gavel fell.
Half a galaxy away, in the quiet of Earth's embassy office, Ambassador Daniel Reeves watched the same crisis unfold on a holographic news feed.
Right on schedule. The council never could resist its own arrogance.
He had expected the derecognition to trigger something, though even his analysts had not predicted how thorough the self-destruction would be.
They passed Resolution 1129 without ever reading the soul-backing accord. A 40-year-old handshake they never properly read.
A young aide appeared at the doorway, tablet clutched tight, her face a mix of urgency and disbelief.
I'm aware. The council just derecognized us, and their economy immediately collapsed. No, we won't be issuing a statement.
He tapped a command, and the holographic newsfeed shrank to a corner. A second document expanded, the full text of a treaty signed 4 decades earlier.
Section 14. Subsection C. Automatic currency anchor termination upon derecognition. They wrote it themselves in 2071 and forgot it existed.
The aide stared at the wall of text and the timestamps confirming that the collapse had begun the instant the council vote was certified.
Send word to all Earth financial institutions. Prepare stabilization protocols, but do not activate until I give the order. They'll call us first.
Within hours, the collapse bled from the vault into the streets. Pension screens flickered to 0 across 12 capital worlds. Banks froze assets mid-transaction. The Trinity was worth less than the paper it had never been printed on.
Pull from the sovereign reserves. Issue an executive stabilization order.
The reserves are denominated in the same collapsing currencies. There is nothing to pull.
Then reverse the derecognition. Reinstate Earth's status immediately.
The legal framework requires Earth to accept reinstatement. They are no longer recognized. They are not obligated to answer.
On the streets of the core world capitals, the chant wasn't for policy. It was for bread.
Then contact them. Use the emergency diplomatic channel. Find out what they want.
The channel is still open, technically, but by our own decree, Earth has no standing to receive an official request.
The emergency signal launched into the void, addressed to an embassy that, by council decree, no longer existed. Ambassador Reeves is currently unavailable. Your priority message has been logged for review.
They're stalling. Earth knows exactly what it's doing.
Citizens of the Council, this economic turbulence is temporary. I am deploying the full resources of the Treasury to stabilize the currency. There is no need for alarm.
But behind him, the holographic currency symbols flickered and then plunged again, erasing another 12% of value. The markets did not listen.
Even the speaker's voice cannot stop the bleeding now. The markets have lost all faith in the Council. This is Council Banker Thras. I demand to be put through to Ambassador Reeves on an emergency line.
All diplomatic lines are currently busy. Your request will be handled in the order it was received.
They're not busy. They're making us wait until we're ready to concede something.
Thras, offer them whatever is necessary to start negotiations, but do not offer recognition. I will not be seen as weak.
But the automated voice remained the only reply from a species that, by council decree, had been erased from sovereign status. In the embassy, Daniel Reeves watched the incoming communication log scroll like a casualty list.
They are offering everything except the one thing they need to give.
He pulled up a private document, his negotiation framework, the terms Earth would require.
Maintain the delay. Another hour. Their panic needs to fully ripen.
On the secondary monitors, the footage from 12 capital worlds showed a civilization eating itself.
The speaker still thinks he can bargain from strength. He will learn.
Daniel highlighted a single phrase in the document: Council recognition of Earth's sovereignty, unconditional and immediate.
Prepare a secure channel. When I open it, I want every financial minister on the council to see the terms simultaneously.
And then he waited, while the planetary GDP of a dozen worlds continued its freefall. Thras had stopped asking the speaker for permission. He activated an old back-channel frequency reserved for Treasury emergencies.
Ambassador Reeves, this is Council Banker Thras. I am bypassing protocol. I need 1 minute.
The channel stayed silent for 3 breaths, then clicked open with a clarity that suggested the line had been waiting for exactly this call.
Councillor Thras, less than a day ago, your council voted to derecognize my species. Why should I accept this call?
Because the alternative is the complete dissolution of the Council economy within the next 20 hours. You have the data. You know I am not exaggerating.
I do have the data. I also have a signed treaty that your council incinerated 6 hours ago with a ceremonial gavel.
What do you want? Name it?
Recognition. Unconditional and immediate. Publicly announced.
The speaker will never agree to that publicly.
Then the speaker can explain to his citizens why their pensions are worthless. You have my terms. I will await the speaker's call.
Thras did not wait. He transmitted the full exchange to the speaker's private channel, bracing for the response.
Recognition. That was his first demand. He expects me to publicly grovel after a single collapse.
He also mentioned renegotiation of trade agreements. He hinted there is more. This is just the opening.
More. He will strip the council of everything. Number. I will not negotiate from a position of surrender.
The speaker's fist slammed the stone desk, cracking the polished surface. His crest ridges trembled with fury.
He still doesn't understand. The position is already surrendered. We just haven't admitted it yet.
Sever the line. Tell the human ambassador that the council does not negotiate with non-entities. We will find another solution.
Speaker, there is no other solution. Every alternative requires a functioning currency.
Then we will create a new currency. One not tethered to a species we just excised. Do it.
The silence that followed was a chasm between the two. one that widened with every ticking second of the economic clock. Thras returned to the vault. Dismissing the assistants with a sharp gesture, he reactivated the back channel, his bioluminescent freckles pulsing erratically.
Counselor, I didn't expect to hear from you so soon.
The speaker is resistant, but I need to know if there is any flexibility. Can we resolve this privately, without the public spectacle?
Number. I stopped doing private favors when your council stopped recognizing my government. This will be public, or it won't happen. And when we meet, there will be more than recognition. There will be representation. There will be representation.
Representation? What kind of representation?
Direct citizen representation. Human voices on your council finance committees. Your people need to hear the ground truth.
Thras's hand trembled, the jeweled rings clinking against the console.
That is a fundamental restructuring of the council's authority. It will never pass.
Then our conversation is over. The economy will pass instead.
Daniel didn't sever the line. He pushed a document instead, a century-old treaty file with a single section highlighted in burning amber.
Read Section 14, subsection C, the one your legal team forgot existed.
Thras read the clause. The magnified script seemed to pulse as comprehension replaced confusion with horror.
Currency anchor termination upon derecognition. Earth was the sole guarantor. The Council's money has been backed by a single species for 40 years.
Backed by Earth's economy. The Saul Accords of 2071. Your own predecessors wrote it, then buried it.
The gavel didn't just remove Earth from the Council. It voided the very foundation of our wealth.
Every Drakon, every Velis, every Corel, all zero-backed the moment your speaker struck that stone. You derecognized your own anchor.
And we never knew. 4 decades of trade, of growth, and not a single audit caught this.
Because your predecessors didn't want it caught. Standard Council arrogance. Now it's yours to fix.
Thras's hand slipped from the console. The jeweled goblet lay shattered at his feet, but the treaty was a deeper ruin. Thras stormed into the speaker's office, bypassing the aides. His robes were disheveled, his freckles dull with exhaustion.
Speaker, I found the cause. The Treaty of 2071, Section 14, subsection C. Earth was the sole guarantor of our currency.
Guarantor. That treaty was a mutual recognition pact, nothing more. You are mistaken.
Read it. Every Corel, every Drakon, backed by Earth's economy. The derecognition voided the backing automatically.
The speaker's hands trembled as he scrolled through the document, his pride warring with the irrefutable data.
And we never audited the financial annex. For 40 years, our economy was a human construct, and we never knew.
They have demanded formal negotiations, public talks in the council chamber. There is no alternative.
Public, of course. They want the galaxy to witness our humiliation.
The silence in the office was the silence of a dying authority, broken only by the distant sound of rioting crowds.
Summon Ambassador Reeves. We will negotiate. But I will not surrender the Council's soul.
Ambassador Daniel Reeves walked the central aisle of the council chamber, his footsteps solitary on the polished marble. His shadow stretched long across the floor, reaching toward the speaker's dais like a claim.
Full recognition of Earth's sovereignty. Effective immediately. The treaty must be acknowledged publicly.
Recognition is a formality we can accept, but the representation clause is a direct seizure of Council authority.
Direct citizen representation on finance committees is not a seizure. It is a safeguard. Your people deserve a voice in the systems that govern them.
A power grab disguised as reform. I will not allow a species we just derecognized to dictate the terms of our governance.
A murmur, part shock, part warning, rippled through the sparse delegate seats.
These are not negotiations. These are stabilization terms. The economy cannot wait for your pride to subside.
The speaker's crest ridges trembled, Caught between fury and the knowledge of his own helplessness, the economy would not wait, but the speaker would not bend. Daniel did not argue. He simply turned, his posture as measured as if he were leaving a concluded meeting.
When your pensioners can no longer buy bread, remember which office refused to feed them.
He walked toward the grand entrance, each step echoing like a countdown. The chamber erupted. Delegates stood, some pleading, some shouting denials, but all afraid. Speaker Voron's gavel was frozen midair, his voice trapped in his throat. Daniel did not look back. The silence that followed his footsteps was the loudest sound the chamber had ever heard. Then the first delegate broke ranks, moving toward the aisle as if to stop him. But the speaker's security blocked her, and the moment passed. Daniel crossed the threshold, and the council's last chance began to slip away with him. From the shadowed edge of the chamber, Thras burst forward, his robes flying, his voice raw with desperation.
Ambassador, stop. The council will listen.
Daniel paused at the threshold, not turning fully, as if waiting for the right words to reach him.
Speaker, dismiss the guards. The treasury will be ash within 20 hours if we don't act.
Thras, you are out of order.
No, Speaker. The order is already broken. Look at the screens. Look at the cities burning. This is not a power grab. This is survival.
The speaker's grip on the gavel slackened, his eyes darting from Thras to the delegates, and finally to Daniel still back.
I'll return when the speaker can say the words. You have 1 hour.
1 hour. That's all we have to accept the inevitable.
Daniel stepped out, leaving the chamber suspended between collapse and capitulation. Outside the chamber, Daniel glanced at a simple pocket watch, its face showing a countdown timer synced to the treaty's emergency clause. The riots had reached the capital's financial district. Smoke rose from shattered storefronts, and the holographic tickers displayed only static. A public holographic clock in the main square began ticking down from 60 minutes, a broadcast from Earth's embassy that no council authority could block.
1 hour. Enough time to let their pride bleed out.
In the chamber, the speaker remained frozen, his hand still half raised, the gavel a useless relic. The countdown appeared on every screen in the chamber, red numbers dripping like blood. On the streets, the chants grew uglier, turning on the council itself.
They'll call. They always do when the alternative is ash.
Daniel's pocket watch ticked. 55 minutes remained. The council's capital burned, and the speaker still had not moved. As the countdown bled toward zero, Guildmaster Arkin strode into the speaker's private office unannounced.
Speaker, the guilds have lost patience. The Corel Banking Consortium just froze all intra-council liquidity.
Speaker Voron's crest ridges flared, but the usual authority was absent from his voice.
The council does not answer to guilds. We have sovereign measures still in reserve.
Reserves? Your sovereign fund is denominated in a currency that no longer exists without the sole anchor. You have nothing.
They need him weak. If he concedes, the council becomes a human protectorate.
You have 25 minutes. Accept the terms, or the guilds will negotiate directly with Ambassador Reeves, and you will be history.
The speaker's hand loosened. The ceremonial gavel slipped from his fingers and struck the marble floor with a crack. Arkin turned without another word, his exit sealing the speaker's isolation. 4 minutes remained on the countdown, and Speaker Voron stared at the red numbers as if they were his own eulogy. With trembling hands, Speaker Voron activated the emergency channel to Earth's embassy, each beep sounding like a death knell. Daniel answered, before the second tone, his voice calm and devoid of any hint of triumph.
Yes.
The council accepts your terms. All of them.
A single tear traced a path down Voron's pale blue cheek as he spoke.
I'll hear you say it to the council in person. I am returning to the chamber.
The public countdown froze at 2 minutes, then reset to a steady, waiting pulse. Daniel walked back through the grand entrance. his silhouette sharp against the ambient chamber light.
By the authority of this council, Earth is recognized as sovereign, and all terms are accepted unconditionally.
The room exhaled. The crisis was far from over, but the surrender was complete. Daniel touched his ear calm and spoke two quiet words. Activate Sol protocols. In the vault, the blood-red crash icons flickered, then swam upward into a cascade of stabilizing green. Thraz watched the Drakon reclaim its pre-crash value, the Velis and Corel following suit, as if nothing had ever happened.
It was always there. The entire foundation. We just never looked.
The Sol anchor re-engaged with a silent hum that shook no walls but revalued every coin. Thras's bioluminescent freckles dimmed to a low, exhausted pulse.
The economy is saved, and the council will never be forgiven for the price.
Outside, the public screens switched from the countdown to a single phrase, Earth Stabilization Protocol active.
We toiled for centuries. They waited 40 years and pressed one button.
The vault's alarms fell silent, replaced by a humming stillness that felt like a sentence. Within the hour, the council chamber filled again, not with chaos, but with the heavy silence of ritual.
A straightforward signature will suffice, Speaker. No speeches required.
Speaker Vorin's stylus pressed into the holographic parchment, each stroke a wound. The Earth flag rose along the council's banner wall, its blue and green globe stark against the alien heraldry. Public screens in the capital switched from stabilization alerts to a single broadcast. Earth recognized, Sol Treaty reinstated. The crowds did not cheer. They stared with the hollow relief of people who had been saved by their own conqueror.
The treaty is ratified. Earth's seat on the Finance Committee is now a fact.
A fact that will serve your people better than any gavel ever did, Speaker.
The final broadcast showed the human ambassador exiting the chamber alone, the Earth flag rippling behind him in the circulated air. Daniel found Thras in an alcove off the main corridor, slumped against a pillar, his gold and green robes now looking like a costume.
You asked why we had the stabilization protocols ready. It wasn't luck.
He pulled up a timeline on his datapad, a roadmap of economic contingencies dated 40 years back.
You planned for this? You embedded the collapse mechanism in the treaty itself?
The treaty didn't cause the collapse. Your arrogance did. We just wrote the automatic termination clause knowing you'd never audit it.
Thras's bioluminescent freckles flickered wildly, his chest heaving.
So the entire currency framework was a trap we walked into?
It was a safety net. We knew the council would eventually do something stupid. The clause was insurance, not a trap.
Insurance that destroyed us.
Insurance that saved your citizens from starvation. The council's humiliation is a separate line item.
3 days later, Daniel stepped off the diplomatic shuttle onto Earth's soil, the weight of a galaxy's economy resting lightly on his shoulders.
The triumph belongs to the people who prepared for this 40 years ago. I just delivered the message.
The crowd's roar was distant, muffled like applause through thick glass. He heard instead the silence of the council chamber after the gavel fell.
Earth is no longer a backwater. It is the fulcrum on which the council's entire wealth now balances.
He looked out the station viewport, Earth's curved horizon filling the frame, the same steady blue that had anchored 1 trillion coins.
They thought isolation would make us weak. Now every council world depends on Sol for its daily bread.
The stars beyond Earth were no longer a frontier of fragile treaties, but a ledger of debts now owed.
The council will recover, of course. But tomorrow, a human sits on their finance committee for the first time.
And that was only the beginning. The safe bet, it turned out, had been Earth all along. The story would be told for generations, how a council's arrogance broke their own empire, and how a quiet ambassador picked up the pieces. Breaking, human representative takes seat on council finance committee. Markets hold steady. The broadcast cut from the studio to the committee chamber, where a human delegate sat among alien peers, her voice calm and unapologetic. For the first time in council history, a species once dismissed as irrelevant now held the pen that would write the next budget. Outside, the capital city's wounds were healing, but the scar of the council's folly would remain in every pension account and every trade agreement. The council thought isolation would break Earth. Instead, they made Earth indispensable and paid the price in their own coin. The safe bet, it turned out, had been Earth all along. As the news feed faded to black, the final image was not of a burning city, but of a quiet council chamber where a human hand raised a new gavel. The council had refused to recognize Earth. Earth had simply waited, and now held the council's future in its steady, patient hands. And that was the end of the story. Not with a bang, but with a signature.